here we are sitting with potentially the man of the hour, the Spartan, the main event. The man is taking on Dan Kelly, Elias Theodorou. You trademarked the main event. Talk to us about that. Why did you trademark that?
Why not? Because I am the main event. And it doesn't matter where I am on the card. I will always be the main event.
But it's M-A-N-E for the hair, right?
Yes. I'm. Are you guys familiar with Pert Plus? They call it Pert Plus here. Now they just call it Pert back in North America. But I'm the North American brand ambassador. And I got the hair to prove it.
Did you figure out why they lost the plus in America?
Well, because there's no need, because it's just Pert.
We need more Pert here in Australia is the first thing that came through. What happens if the hair looks beautiful, by the way? You know, we've been looking at photos, not in a pervy way, but we've been saving them on our phones, screenshotting them, putting up all over the office. And one of the things we spoke about was what happens if it starts going at one point and, you know, maybe there won't be as much hair up the top anymore. Do you still go with the main event? Is it something that you worry about from time to time, have sleepless nights over?
Well, no. One, good genetics, and again, we talked about it, the Pert definitely will help with any options of not being the main event. And again, a couple cool things in the works that will expand my brand beyond hair and just in general.
Just different body parts? What are some other body parts?
Well, wouldn't you like to? main event.
Something that Anderson Silva might take accidentally and fail you side
my stuff you'll pass.
So I guess the other big thing is you've got a lot of the good things going. You put out on your Twitter recently that you're expecting sort of like Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Yep.
You and Dan Kelly. You tag Mattel. Are they sponsoring you, or is this?
I'm also the global brand ambassador for Mattel.
Not just North America, global, entire world.
Yep, I'm a global brand ambassador. Specifically, I'll start in Canada, and just like Pert, it started in Canada, branch out to the U.S., and then furthermore. A lot of it has to do with the fact that Pert put their name behind me, and then that once you get an established brand to kind of, back you, others start to take wind. And it's really interesting in regards to the way social media works. One of the PR representatives from Mattel basically just loved a couple of my posts and said, hey, we're doing this thing, and we started a conversation. It was actually funny because I have like quarterly conversations with the Pert team. And
this is very professional. This is like talking to a CEO here. I'm very excited.
Yeah, so I was having part of the quarterly
people like Donald Trump and
that. Well, I'm on the other side of the fence. But point being, it was funny because they're like, love what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. But just be careful with some of the parodies that you're doing. Legal, they're just a little concerned. Next day, you get a Mattel representative messaging me, love what you're doing, because I did a man bun Barbie.
That's your display
basically
picture on
Photoshop.
Twitter, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I did a man bun Barbie when Man Bun came out. And they're like, we love it. We're relaunching Rock'em Sock'em Robots. We'd love to have you a part of it. And if all goes well, beyond Rock'em Sock'em Robots, they're really, because I am the Mattel global ambassador. They're interested in other aspects. So this face might be on an actual Barbie sometime soon.
Wow, that would be amazing. Well, what exactly is involved in that, other than sort of putting that up on social media? What exactly do you do as the ambassador? And do they send you free toys, being Mattel?
Yes, I have it. I already have the Rock'em Sock'em Robot, and we're going to take it from there.
Is that the favorite? Because they've got some good toys, the Mattel. There's a few good ones.
Yep.
What other favorites as the ambassador can you bring up with us?
Well, the really cool ones, obviously, is the biggest brand that they have would be Barbie. They have the whole line in that, and they have Hot Wheels as well.
Yes.
I love Hot Wheels. I love the one that you press the button and it flies over, but always goes in my eye for some reason. I have to wear my safety goggles when I do it.
Safety first, and especially when you start taking those main event pills.
I need goggles plus for myself if I do play with Hot Wheels. Let's talk about the creativity that you display on Twitter, because this thing is pretty fun. Your Twitter account needs to be followed. You have a lot of really funny tweets, and you'll go on there, you create some funny images. For example, you had a parody of No Country for Old Men. You had No Country for Old Judo. I thought you were going to go for No Country for Old Dan, but I still like No Country for Old Judo. You've got the Rock'em Sock'em Robots. That was really funny. Have you always been this creative, creating a bunch of images and doing this kind of stuff? And is it you yourself actually jumping on Photoshop and putting this stuff together?
Yeah, no, I actually come from I have a degree in advertising, so I'm advertising the brand that is myself. And that was one of the ways that I was able, especially when you just get a degree and your parents say, what do you want to do with your life? And you say you want to be a professional puncher and kicker, they had their reservations. So the ability to basically do outside projects allowed them a tangible thing. I did some modeling. I've been on 11 romance covers. No big deal.
Wow.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
I thought I recognized you from something.
But no, again, different acting and stunt work that I did. There were tangible things because, especially in the regionals, there's no money in mixed martial arts, but all the outside stuff is an opportunity. And it allowed me to basically get my hustle game right out of the bat in regards to approaching local businesses, and every $500 counts, especially when you're first starting out. Whether it's a supplement company that will take the $500 you spend a month in supplements, or a cash sponsorship or whatever like that. No, and I'm really excited, especially with the Mattel Rock'em Sock'em robot collab. It's gonna have a really cool kind of play with it. It's basically just, I'm also making a video for it.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like, yeah,
Will that feature Dan Kelly as well, or will that be after the fight?
No, only I got paid for it, so only I'll appear on it. So no, and there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of opportunities. I'm also a Samsung Canada brand ambassador as well.
Wow.
So there are a lot of cool projects that I'm working on, much more than in the cage, because again, as much as I love fighting and as much as I want to be the best I can, you got to understand the 10-point plan, and I'm building a brand well beyond the cage.
That's interesting. Do you ever find that it's taking your focus away? Because I imagine it's pretty hard to juggle all those things. Like, you just listed 3 massive companies: Mattel, Samsung, Pert/Pert Plus. And, obviously you're still, an elite fighter trying to sort of climb the ranks. Does that change your priorities as far as a lot of guys are sort of like, look, I need to be the champion because that's where the money is and that's sort of my main goal. Does that change your, I guess, focus in MMA at all?
No, because I make more money outside of the cage than I do inside of the cage. And again, I want to be the best in the world, but at the same time, how many people want to be the best in the world? I'd be happy being a top 5 fighter, historically speaking, and make millions of dollars.
Well, let's talk about that because...
And sorry to just cut you off there. Just to go back on the idea, am I distracted? No, there's 24 hours in the day. You only have to be a professional athlete 2 times a day with 2 times a day with 2 hours at a time. That's 4 hours in the day. And then the meals, and again, because I have sponsors that take, Fuel Foods, or I'm organic as fuck with HPN, High Performance Nutrition. Basically, they take the thought process out of it. As a mixed martial artist, a professional mixed martial artist, I'm also a manager. I basically delegate the work, whether it's my coaches, my sponsors, and everything in between.
I feel like by the end of this interview, he's going to be running submission radio as well. We're just going to be like, take it. We don't know what to do with it anymore. To quickly talk about your career path, though, because we spoke on the show a little while back. I think it was maybe like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And you spoke about how you're happy with the way your career is going. You don't want to rush anything. You're happy to just take a fight, not have too many fights back to back. Where are you at right now in terms of your career? Because obviously you've had a good run in the UFC, but in terms of climbing the ranks, it hasn't been as quick as, I suppose, some other fighters who just try and rush back-to-back fights and get right up there. Are you at a point now where you want to try and take more fights and try and break into that top 10, top 5 a bit quicker?
What do rankings mean? We potentially have Woodley fighting Nate Diaz. I have a TV show and a movie in the works. Once my face is on a movie, they'll put me wherever I demand. So again, I have more bigger plans than this. People are thinking again, gone are the days of I'll fight anyone and anywhere, blah, 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 blah. Because if you hit a setback, you hit a setback. Going into this fight, I'm very excited because of the opportunity. Again, I see it as I won the last fight, but even when you win or lose, you have to go back to the drawing board. And my last fight, I know what I did. The only 2 fights that I've lost, I lost the fight because of my actions, not my opponents. And I'm really excited to go back in there and do me.
What do you think about that, by the way, the rumors of potentially Woodley versus Nate Diaz? Because it kind of solidifies, if it wasn't already solidified, just the crazy new direction of the sport, of where it's going.
Sport entertainment. Plain and simple. That's what it is, and all the power to them. I hope Nate and Woodley make as much money as possible. Again, it's for what it is, and I'm not even criticizing the UFC to do it. They have $100 million a year in interest that they have to pay for a $4.2 billion entity that they bought, and they got to do what they got to do. And again, if you go back to why brain fart, way cut brain right now, but McMahon, why he didn't buy, because there was rumors of that potentially at one point, because they can't control the outcome. So they can't control the outcome, but they can put it in a direction. And whether I see, if Nate Diaz was to pull it off and somehow Conor now fights for the 3rd championship belt and doesn't defend any of them. But anyways, point being, no, I love being a mixed martial artist. I love being in the UFC, and I love creating the path that I want. I get to fight around the world, travel around the world with people that I care more than anything.
He's pointing at me, by the way.
The
front cover. As a savvy businessman, just quickly, 4.2 billion, would you have paid it?
Pardon? Sorry?
As a savvy businessman, if you were in the discussion, 4.2 billion, would you have paid it?
Well, I don't got that money, but I understand where the process is. Mixed martial arts is a growing sport, one of the fastest growing sports, and unlike other traditional sports, it doesn't have the limitations of nations, where you saw soccer trying to get in the U.S. or the U.S. NFL trying to get into Europe. There's a lot of restrictions in regards to the limitations of countries. UFC doesn't have that. A lot of fighters, one of my favorite fighters is Anderson Silva, who what's called as a Brazilian. Obviously, you have someone like George St. Pierre, who is a role model for and a brand ambassador for everyone around the world. So mixed martial arts has the opportunity to basically transcend. And, it's a very young sport, and it has only the sky to go.
I feel like there's a lot of brand ambassador in that answer, but let's talk about the fight, because Dan Kelly is a hero here in Australia, obviously Olympic-wise. He's
a hero. All right.
A hero
National
here in Australia.
hero,
National hero.
Yeah.
He's represented Australia in the Olympics of the judo. You're stepping into a little bit of hot water here, fighting him. There'll probably be a lot of boos. How have you found the Australian people so far? And when they learn that you're fighting Dan Kelly, is there a little bit of a tussle from him? Do they get a little bit nasty at times, wanting Dan to win this weekend?
Heaps. No, honestly, everyone's been amazing here. The 2 gyms that I've trained at, Igor MMA and also UDA, which is Ultimate Defense Academy, they've basically opened their doors with wide open arms, and they've helped me along the way. Fun fact, Igor has actually competed and beat Dan Kelly in a grappling match. So getting a little insight on that component. At the same time, I know Dan. I shared a room with him and 14 other like-minded knuckleheads for the Ultimate Fighter, Canada versus Australia. He and the rest of his compadres were polite enough to come down to us, so it's only fair that I go down to him. Dan, this is a true style matchup of specialist versus basically generalist. I am a jack of all trades, but in many ways that's not a bad thing in mixed martial arts, because I think he's very one-dimensional. I would even say 1.5, because he has a huge will to win, and he'll throw out everything but the kitchen sink at you. And I do the same in some capacity, but I think there's a lot more viciousness in regards to my ability to just beat him. He's gonna try, and we know what he's gonna try and do. He's gonna try and throw plot-footed, because he's got a bad knee, and hips. He doesn't really use much hips involved, and I'm just going to do a death by 1,000 cuts.
Do you think you'll target that knee and the hips, or is that sort of not part of your style?
Only time will tell.
All is fair, right?
All's fair in love and war.
Do you feel like you're sort of defending the title of the Ultimate Fighter winner, because his, I guess, motivation here is if he beats you, then it's almost like, not that he won the Ultimate Fighter, but it's kind of a little bit like that, almost like vindication.
For sure. No, I totally understand that. But another thing I throw out there, I've beaten 2 people that beat him and finished him. So MMA math doesn't always add up, but I already got 2 up on him. And again, he didn't. I tried to be polite to him, but he just kind of brushed me off. He needs to focus. Cold. Yeah, he was a little cold. He never really liked me because, again, of my bubbly attitude, I guess, beforehand. And then it was interesting in the house and really to understand the psychology of it, how people fell into narratives and stuff like that, and also the game face that they're putting on. He was much more friendly after he lost, because it's a humbling experience, right? Being picked up and thrown and choked out by a person that I beat in a couple of seconds. He was much more friendly. But now, obviously, especially, again, he's a lot more pressure. He has a hero's welcome, potentially not so much being from Melbourne, but the aspect is he needs to win. I look at it as someone that, yes, I technically lost, but the fight could have gone either way, where he got knocked out twice at this point. And he's been finished 3 times in total. 2 of those people that I've beat.
Are you impressed at all with what he's been able to achieve in his career?
For sure. Again, especially as the underdog and coming up as, a person that no one really thought could win, especially against someone like Rashad Evans, or I like to call him Carlos Jr.
Shoeface.
No. Carl's Jr. That's it. There's a hamburger chain back in the States, Carl's Jr. But anyways, I thought it was
And you call Rashad Evans that?
Pardon?
You call Rashad Evans that? Carl's Jr.?
No.
Carl's Jr. Shoeface?
Shoeface, yeah.
Okay,
Carl's
okay,
Jr.
Gotcha. I'm an idiot.
I
Go
keep
on.
on messing it up, yeah. But
So we're not ambassadors for anything. Not even submission radio. You have to hire someone else.
No, but all kidding aside, he's gone on a great run, and that's why I wanted to fight him, because again, he didn't have the greatest showing in the Ultimate Fighter, but there's so many variables, and especially in a pressure cooker that is, he had a bad day, and I totally agree that sometimes the better person doesn't win. And I've always, especially with his run to getting top 15 at one point, and then have it horribly taken away from him by Brunson. It's the opportunity to fight someone that also touched the top 15 and prove that we are both in that running.
Wow, well, it's going to be very exciting. UFC Sydney goes down this weekend, Sunday morning. So I hope you've got a good sleep plan set up. Elias has been here for a long time now. He's done the seminars. He's spent some time in Australia, so used to the way things run here. But
You'll be tweeting during the fight,
he'll be
no
tweeting
doubt.
during the fight, talking about Mattel and everything else. Thank you so much for your time. Excited to see what happens on Sunday.
Me too.